Hello and welcome to the Brass Junkies. I'm your host, Andrew Hitz, and I am joined by Pittsburgh's finest ukulele / euphonium / former trombone player, Lance LaDuke. Lance, how are you?
I'm feeling wonderful.
Really?
Yeah.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you as well.
It's actually
Boy, last night was crazy, wasn't it?
Yeah, January 3rd.
Yeah. Been on a bender since Christmas.
Lance is from Niles, Michigan, and they have a tradition.
City of Four Flags.
The New Year's celebration lasts for 4 days and 4 nights, so it just goes straight through to the 4th.
One for each flag.
We are recording this back in December, but yeah, Happy New Year to everyone. Yesterday was a big day in the Hitz house, by the way.
January 2nd? 3rd.
My son had his first ever concert yesterday.
Woot!
Right?
That's cool.
Yeah, his piano teacher, Miss Engel, who is fantastic. She had 2 recitals at her house, and yeah, he was one of like 7 kids to play on his recital, and yeah, it was adorable. He played Carol of the Bells, which had like a slightly different name, which he kept correcting me. Is like it's all the same tune, dude. But yeah, it's like 2 hands. Like he's only been taking lessons for a few months, but
That's awesome.
and he actually put like he slowed down at the end. Like there was this ritardando, and then there was he reached across his hand to play like and he went all the way to the last note was an A, and like hit the A at the bottom of the keyboard, and like the slowdown and all that was all his idea. So yeah, it was
nice.
It was very dramatic.
What did he wear?
He wore a it wasn't a Christmas sweater. It's like a winter sweater. Like I think it had like snowflake patterns on it, but it was just yeah. And he wore pants. We made him wear pants.
It's pretty good. Did he bow?
He did not bow, and he usually does. Nobody bowed like in the whole thing. But yeah, he was very matter of fact about the whole thing. Actually, like not like I'm too good for this, but just like very, very like methodically calm. Yeah, it was fascinating.
Did you seem nervous, or did he seem like he was just ready to rock and roll?
No, he was just ready to rock and roll. I was really nervous for him. I mean, I could care less
because you weren't wearing pants.
Whether he, I could care less. Relatively speaking, whether he played well or not, like I don't care about that.
Yeah,
I wanted him to enjoy it. Right.
I
mean, obviously, like if it was like a really bad experience, then we'd get through that. But that's hard at 7. If like your first performance, if you whether it's real or not, whether if you think you bombed, then that's. So I was like,
then you have to become a conductor.
I was, and that's the end of that. That's perfect. Thank you to Parker Mouthpieces for providing the hosting for the Brass Junkies from the top ropes. Lance, Superfly, LaDuke. Parker Mouthpieces offers fine, customizable component mouthpieces for horn, trombone, euphonium, and tuba, including the Hitz artist model tuba mouthpiece and the Lance LaDuke model euphonium mouthpiece. You can find out more at parkermouthpieces.com or follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. That was some serious conductor shade, man. That was
It's early.
That was good, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was good. But things good for you? Were the holidays that haven't happened yet? Were they good?
They were the best yet. It's almost like I don't remember them.
No tears.
No, we're very excited. So we're spending a long weekend with my mom and brother and our families at a Airbnb, so nobody has to deal with the prep or the cleanup. We just like show up and do the thing and leave.
Speaking of cleanup, this was an unpleasant thing that happened to me, so you will enjoy it, as will our listeners.
Aww.
I decide to make some dinner. I'm making some sort of like chicken meatball thing. It was actually, it ended up being quite good, but it called for prepared horseradish. Anyway, I'm unpacking the groceries, and there was a bag of carrots, which and the prepared horseradish somehow got caught in the bag of carrots. So as I lifted up the bag of carrots, I didn't realize this, and it fell, but it fell from like 5 feet up and then hit the floor and exploded. So there were shards of glass and prepared horseradish in 360 degrees, and I couldn't wipe it up right away because there was glass shards in it. So I had to pick the glass shards out of the prepared horseradish, which the only way I could see it, because you can't see through that, was to, like, if I thought it was there, I had to, like, move my hand across it and listen and hear if I heard, like, scraping, and that meant that there was another glass piece in there. And I then had to wipe it up, but I then couldn't vacuum because the floor was wet. So I then had to wait for it to dry. Then I had to vacuum it, and then I had to actually clean the floor.
And then you had to go get more horseradish.
Well, yes. Yep. And then by the time I got home, it was late enough. I was like, we're ordering pizza. So that all happened. So, yep. And then, anyway, I'm a fan of eating out. My wife likes cooking at home. It's like healthier for you. It's a lot cheaper. It's like, there's a lot of reasons, but I'm just like, but it just, but if they drop the prepared horseradish, they have to clean it up.
That's true.
Right?
See, we've been doing one of those box deals for about the last 6 months, where the 3 meals come for 2 people. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. And then we've instituted date night once a week, too, which has also been great. Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, we've our schedule has gotten too busy to be able to do any meal services of late. So, because my wife was guest conducting in Pennsylvania last weekend. She's presenting at Midwest this week. She was at VMEA 3 weeks ago presenting. She's a big deal.
Yeah. Well, the empty nest thing definitely makes it a lot easier.
Yep.
There's fewer opinions, too.
Yep. This is. Oh, I closed that gap all on my own. But anyway. All right. So, Matt Neff.
This
was really fun. I really miss. We played a lot of gigs together in DC before he abandoned us for Seth Horner. So which is sad and really tells you where we are in the pecking order of things. Love you, Seth. All right. Without further ado, and the bonus episode was quite good. It was quite good. I asked Matt about a family story that happened within the last few weeks that he still has no idea how I know about, and the face that he makes when I ask him about it was we're gonna have to make that a GIF, actually, because he was like he had no clue how I got that. I do my research, so if you wanna either watch or listen to that, you can hear his facial expression too. Then you can go to patreon.com/thebrassjunkies and join the many people, over 100 people who are Patreon patrons of the Brass Junkies, and you get bonus episodes and a bunch of other bonus content. And without further ado, let us get to the conversation that we had with North Carolina Symphony bass trombonist Matt Neff.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you want to see more content by the Brass Junkies, just click on the like and subscribe button. You'll have an opportunity to see some of the greatest brass players in the world, and Andrew and me.
Today on the Brass Junkies, I like that Lance has already had his hand down in his chin in his hand. He's already bored. We haven't even done the intro yet. Today on the Brass Junkies, we are joined by someone who has shown us just how far down the list of potential guests we have gotten. That is bass trombonist Matt Neff. Matt, how are you?
I'm doing fabulous. In fact, couldn't do better.
You need to aim higher, brother. So Matt is, he used to be in the Commodores. He used to be
before Lionel Richie,
my stand partner in the American Festival Pops Orchestra. Actually, we didn't share a stand, did we? We each had our own stands. It was fancy back there, and is now, and I believe this is a recent official addition, right? What's your latest gig?
I am the newest, one of the newest members of the North Carolina Symphony. I'm the bass trombonist. Got tenure about 2 weeks ago.
That's right. How about that?
Yeah, crazy.
So you were waiting to get tenure before you came on the show? Probably a good idea.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
He
probably smart.
Keeps failing up. So that's that. Yep, there's a lesson for all you kids. That's really, really great. And so how long have you been in North Carolina? I think it's a little longer than I think, because it feels like you just left.
So I did my very last thing in January of 2019 up in DC, and I got down here at the end of the month, was with the orchestra through March, and that's when COVID hit. So it was kind of crazy, obviously, but everything shut down there in March of 20. What was that? What year are we in? No, it wasn't.
We're almost in 22, which is crazy.
1928.
Yes, we are in.
Yeah, no, I was in 19. I was January of 2020. I'm sorry, I'm missing years here. It's a little better. Good Lord.
I thought I was
So,
starting with layup questions, but I've never seen Matt Neff before 9 a.m. and this is actually spectacular.
I already told the guys I am shocked. I always thought this had to be filmed at least after happy hour because just the general demeanor. But the fact that it's 4:30 in the morning is just baffling to me. But,
One of the worst songs ever recorded does remind us that it's 5 o'clock somewhere. So
okay.
Just letting you know. So you left in 2020, and then we're
yes,
just
there we go.
okay.
Yeah, COVID seems like it was so much longer, but it actually really didn't hit until March of 20. So, anyways, and the upside of that was I was able to come back and wrap everything up here at my house. My family was still living in Virginia, and we were able to pack up and get moved out over the summer and officially moved down here summer of 20. And then, of course, that first season was just kind of a bust. Lots of recordings and a couple little chamber things, but not much to speak of. And then this year we started off a little delayed, but we kind of got a late start, started about October in the fall, and things have been running normally since.
Now, I might have made all this up. This might be pure fiction, so bear with me.
We do that a lot around here.
North Carolina Symphony is different from many orchestras in a couple of key ways. And I think one of them is the outreach component. Like, aren't you basically, you're covering the entire state in terms of your outreach. Is that right?
Yes, they really pride themselves on being your North Carolina Symphony, where they really make an effort. We do a lot of road trips. We'll play on the beach one night over in Wilmington or something. And then, 2 days, 3 days later, we'll be playing over on the western part of the state. It's kind of like being on tour with the Navy again, because you're going to, towns that aren't the biggest, but they still have venues and an audience. And I've been pretty impressed with how well they're received across the state. And they, of course, get some funding from the state, which helps encourage that. And one of the neatest things they do is, I think it's fourth grade, that every fourth grader, of course, pre-COVID, but every fourth grader would see the symphony live.
Right.
Just, through our travels, or they would bus them in to the hall. And so I'll run into people and they'll, what do you do, whatever. And, you'll say, well, I've been with the North Carolina Symphony. It started, and they're like, I remember. And, we're talking generations. The orchestra turns 90 next year. So lots of generations of kids have seen that orchestra live, which is kind of cool.
It's awesome.
It's really interesting. Yeah, I think there's a lot to learn. I think that model is a really interesting one, and it's been clearly working for a long time. We have a former Carnegie Mellon alum who was in admin for that orchestra for a while, and she came back and talked about her gig to the students, and that's what triggered that. And it's not an insignificant amount of funding from the state, if memory serves as well. Like, it's a fairly decent percentage as compared to other arts organizations outside of the state of North Carolina.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. Yeah.
Who knew?
Yeah, well, it's funny because those are things that I just, I was not aware of until I got here and kind of fell into the situation and started to poke my nose around.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I think it's, I was going to say forward thinking, but that's been going for 90 years. So, but I think it's unfortunately unique. I think there's a model there that other states or regions could adopt. Yeah,
we're pretty fortunate. I think the legislature or whoever, the politicians are that need to like the arts, do like the arts. And, there's enough of a tie that probably at some point in their lives, they've been exposed to the symphony. So probably a soft spot, which is in our favor. Mm-hmm. And so I think the money makers, the tree shakers, whoever they are that keep those relationships going, just obviously know the right people to talk to. And yeah, we're in a great situation.
I'm guessing that it helps that you cover the entire state, because that means that every politician in North Carolina would have to tell their direct, voters no, I don't want this art to come to you, which normally you would have to travel 2 hours to get to Raleigh or Charlotte or one of the big cities. So that I'm sure that helps, because it's not like yes, this is good in general. It's like, no, this is good right here. It's really it's so important. I mean, why should only people who live in or right next to really big cities that have big orchestras get to experience music like that? I mean, that doesn't seem good from an audience building standpoint either.
Right, and so I mean, we benefit from that, but it's kind of like it just reminds me of the tour games that we played when I was in the Navy band, because for the most part we weren't targeting the big markets. They're pretty saturated with performances and things to do, and as soon as you go to a town that's just a little bit smaller, they tend to still have those bygone era theaters,
right.
And those downtowns that are still wanting to be downtown with restaurants and all that stuff. And, so those are like the coolest spots to hit.
Yeah.
And I just feel like now I just do it all the time, but it just happens to all be in North Carolina.
We're going to hit the Navy band. I want to stay with the North Carolina Symphony. By the way, Lance has hit all of those small towns like 8 times between the Air Force Band and then Boston Brass. It's like, this
River City Brass. Yeah.
Yep. They know him in every small. It's like, we're in Missoula, Montana. How does everyone know you here? It's like, oh, you're the jackass with the euphonium.
Yeah.
Yep. You remind me of my grandson, but you're talented. So my favorite, I've told it on this show before, but it needs to be told again, which is that because it's been a long time, at a River City Brass Band, Lance used to be beloved by all the old folks, like beloved. And after a show in the lobby, he was talking to a few older ladies, and his now former wife was next to him, and one of them figured out that it was his wife, and she said, "Oh, it must be so fun to be married to Lance." And his ex-wife said, "You would think."
Pretty good.
That's a top 5 all-time Lance story, and that's only the second time we've told it in like 180 episodes. So anyway. So, is the tuba player in the North Carolina Symphony any good? I can't remember who it is.
Yeah, he drives me absolutely insane. I can't. Oh my God. Seth Horner.
Oh yeah, he's a total prima donna. That's why I've blocked him from all he does is talk about himself, like incessantly. Just talks about.
We should get him on the show.
Yeah,
you really should. Yeah.
No. He's a really nice guy. No, Seth Cook is the nice Seth. That's right. I get him confused.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
They all look alike.
They do. They're spitting images of each other.
Seth Code.
How is Seth Horner doing?
He's wonderful. I've been bugging him because now that I've got tenure, it's the first time I've ever had to sit down and sign my binder and contract and stuff. Because in the Navy, you're just like, you raise your right hand, you do it again, But here it's a little more in depth. So he's mothering me along and just kind of telling me how it's supposed to go.
When you said I got tenure and it's the first time, and I thought you were going to say that I've been honest with him. Like that's where I thought that was going.
No,
they're not there yet.
No.
Give it 5 more years, right? And then
exactly.
Now Seth is an angel. For anyone who doesn't know, anyone who's just here for Matt. We have interviewed Seth. He's a dear friend, and he's an amazing musician who I've never heard him talk about himself. Actually, I don't think I ever have. He's not very self-absorbed at all. So that's why we choose.
Well, it's just because he's not that interesting.
Yeah.
Well, helps.
I bet he's better behaved than I was when we were playing in an orchestra together. We used to
maybe a little.
Yeah. Well, yeah. All right. We'll get there too. So what talk to us about what was the first program that you ever played with the North Carolina Symphony?
Oh man, I should know this. It was something I had never done.
Playing tune?
Golly. Yeah, playing tune, yeah. Oh, Was it Rosenclavier?
Rose.
Rosen
Claire.
Rosenclair-de-Lune?
It was the Richard Strauss.
Richard Strauss.
Richard Strauss.
Rosenclair-de-Lune.
Rosencrantz.
Did you notice how his voice trailed away as he
Did
said
he?
it? He was-
It is early. Oh my God.
That's why I'm asking you specific questions, because I know you're going to struggle with them.
That's by Mahlertoven.
I really appreciate that you didn't send me any kind of prep for this, because I'm so good on.
Why
the
would
fly.
we start with you?
Oh my God.
And why you wouldn't have prepped? I mean, come
Well,
on, man.
That's true.
Then I would have done extra work for you to not read the email, and then I would have come to the interview with expectations, Matthew. And now
We
I'm
had to coach you to unmute yourself.
That's a true story. Didn't
Well.
send me interview questions ahead of time.
Oh my God.
You know,
Pardon me.
excuse me, what does the trigger do? Yeah.
My press
Why do you put your
secretary-
hand in the bell?
Do you like mouthpieces? Remember that time when
Anyway.
you put a Hershey Kiss in my mouthpiece, like in a gig, and then I went to play and I couldn't blow through it, and it was like kind of funny, but I had a solo, and then like I started to panic, and then you were like,
That was really
like,
funny.
Yeah.
and I'm up on a giant, we're up on risers, like that was fun.
I like the fact that you threw it.
Yeah.
Man, that would have been awesome if it melted there.
Yeah, it broke a string on a viola, but whatever. But they had it coming. So let's Lance. Why don't you talk about speaking of throwing things? Reminds me of Jim Nova, because he's got such an anger issue. Why don't you talk to us about Duquesne University?
So Duquesne University is the home to the Mary Papert School of Music, a long-standing supporter and sponsor of the Brass Junkies. And we want to encourage you to visit the link in the show notes where you can find out about all the ways that you can be involved with music in the brass area at Duquesne University at the Mary Papert School of Music. Fantastic set of faculty, most of whom are out of the Pittsburgh Symphony. James Gourlay not only teaches tuba and euphonium, but he is the wind ensemble conductor now. And so please go click on that link so that we can prove to them that you are checking out what's going on over there. And very, very, very special thanks to Jim, That's Not a Hershey Kiss Nova, for making it possible.
I don't understand that at all.
No.
All right, let's ask Matt some more questions. What has he gotten wrong? He's mispronounced. I mean,
I will put my 2 cents in on Jim, because
Oh, good.
oh please.
before I went to, well, there were 3 auditions in a row in the time frame that I won North Carolina. There was Buffalo, Cleveland, and North Carolina, and I had auditioned for Pittsburgh years before, and I did pretty well, but I personally, I was melting. I just was crazy nervous, like falling out of my chair nervous. And so one of my strategies was to try to overcome those nerves. I went and I thought I'd go play for Jim Nova. And so I went up. He was gracious and had a great lesson, but it was more just the act of playing for him, because it was just such a nerve-wracking experience. And he made me feel like a complete fool, because he was just so down to earth and calm and reaffirming, and it was awesome. So
Jim Nova. We're talking about Jim Nova.
yeah,
You mean the car guy?
He was
the Star Wars dude?
He was a total teddy bear.
So the nerves thing, has this always been a thing, or just for this series of auditions?
Oh, it's always been an issue, but I think as I got older, it got worse. And
Interesting.
I was able. When I was in the jazz band, you don't sit there and count rests. You're playing, 90% of the time. But as I was prepping for orchestras, or even as kind of starting out here, you spend so much time just sitting, waiting for your opportunity to play. I got a whole bunch of magpies in my head that like to chatter. I mean, they talk more than the Brass Junkies.
Whoa.
and they're not nearly as positive as you guys, So,
Wow.
So
You might need professional help.
Yeah, so exactly. But it it, it was good to play for him because when I did the Pittsburgh audition, Jeff D won. Jeff's amazing, and I had advanced, and I got to the point where I was playing the round in front of the panel with the curtain down and all that stuff, and they must have made a decision to just let you play everything because I got to play everything, which was great, but I played one thing. I played William Tell, and I just felt like in my head I was telling myself, oh, that fell apart, or you did this wrong, you cracked this, you chipped that, whatever. And I mean, I kind of fell apart mentally, but the best part was after that, I was like, oh, I screwed this up. So the rest of the list I played great, to the point that it was Peter Sullivan came down and like, I think he thought I was going to maybe have a heart attack or just die because like he literally got out of his chair and walked down to the edge of the stage, and he's just like very calming. He was like, going, think you're playing pretty well. I just, would like you to go back and play the William Tell. And I was like, oh, and it was just like I finally got calm when he came down. And then when he asked me to play William Tell again, I was just like, oh my God, I think I'm dead, But
it's never good when someone on the committee is like expressing like genuine human concern for you during the audition. It's like,
exactly.
It's not the emotion. It's a very sweet emotion. It's very genuine, but that's not what you want to be receiving.
But so after that experience, I thought it was probably good to go play for Jim and shake those demons off. But it was good.
So what other so how did, like, subsequently then, how did the auditions go?
Fine. I mean, I've always had decent results, at least advancing, and I took a bunch of auditions over the years when I was in the Navy. I started in the Navy in 92, and I think I probably played maybe 20, 25 auditions in that time frame. Just, I would use them as opportunities, just kind of check myself out. When you're audition mode, you're practicing a little different than, just maintaining for the gig. So I used them, if the orchestra paid enough, or if it was a cool place I wanted to visit, then I would, take vacation and go do an audition. And for the most part, I would pretty much almost, I normally would advance, which is great because at least to me, that means I'm playing in tune, in time, right sound, and I know the stuff. Because beyond that, it's like just a matter of making it the right fit, being the best person, but being the right fit too. And
so how did that experience, or you're coping with that, how has that impacted the way you teach your students?
Well, it's funny. So since I left Virginia, I've only done a couple clinics. I mentally just wanted to take a break. Leaving DC, I feel like I'm 10 years younger. and
he got divorced from me, and now he's a new man.
Just, I mean, as you guys know that it's a great town, but you get so busy. And I was spending so much time. I lived out in Ashburn. It was 38 miles to work. And so, my normal commute was an hour and a half on a good day. And then, on bad days, 2.5 hours just to get there. And then turn around and do the same thing going home. And then you'd throw in, okay, well, a couple of days a week I was going to George Mason or teaching at home, trying to squeeze in whatever gigs I could. It was, you live out of your car. When you're driving down 95 and you're changing your pants, that's pretty busy. And I think, a lot of the, players and teachers in DC, we've all done it,
When's the last time I changed my pants? Maybe I should do it right now.
Well, when you show up and you're wearing your white pants from the Navy, it's never a good thing.
Yeah.
But so
show notes: changing his pants while driving down I-95.
So, and that's not even a joke because I had an F-150 and I could put that thing on cruise control, and I could
hop in the back.
I could hop in the back and just, wow, yeah.
I saw a video yesterday of the, it's still in beta, of the Tesla full self-driving mode. Somebody was driving, I think it was around Portland, and it was a horror show. Like, almost hit a pedestrian who had a walk sign. Like, the car they were doing like a big loop around town, and there were train tracks, and the car 2 or 3 times tried to drive onto the train tracks. Yeah, it's like it is not fully baked or even remotely close. So that has nothing to do with anything here. But yeah, that was quite a it was like 3 minutes of nonstop errors out of a 21-minute drive. It was like not good. But you're able to put your truck into full self-driving mode while you changed pants in the back seat.
Well, I had gum bands and bubble gum to make it all work. But
Gum bands. You from Western Pennsylvania?
I'm from Altoona area.
Altoona.
Yeah.
Because gum bands is like definitely a Pittsburgh thing. I've never heard gum bands until I got here.
I've never heard of gum bands until just now.
Yeah. That's instead of rubber bands, it's gum bands here.
Oh. So why didn't you just call them rubber bands? Like a normal person.
They make them out of chewing gum.
That's true. I grew up in Hollidaysburg, where every day was a holiday.
There you go.
Yeah.
I live in Pittsburgh, where every day is the Pitts. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. So with getting back to your question, for students, just to kind of relate it, like one of the things that helped me prep for that set of auditions, I had a couple really great grad students at George Mason, and they were in audition mode. So a lot of times I was coaching them on all the same stuff I was needing to learn, which was great. And as far as helping them, is like, well, when I auditioned for the Navy band, my teacher actually auditioned with me. And yeah, it's crazy. But it's a separate story. But he won the job, and I was runner-up. But what it gave me was no expectation, which was awesome, because nerves kind of go away when you're just like, oh, I ain't got a shot, I can just play. So I think, just when you're working with your students or whatever, if they have the mindset that you're not just teaching them, you're learning at the same time, and you're the competition, it definitely kicks them a little harder. So how did you play that? How did you like that? Oh, you tongue that better than me. That's good for you. Gives them a little dose of maybe confidence that they wouldn't necessarily get if they're just in student mode.
Oh, that's great. Principal horn of the Cleveland Orchestra, Nathaniel Silverslog, who we interviewed a couple of months ago, he won the assistant principal of the Kennedy Center Opera when he was 19, and one of the things I really liked about that story was the fact that because he was 19, he didn't think that he had any shot of winning the audition at all. So he just went for everything, because it wasn't that he didn't have anything to lose. I believe that the words he used is that he didn't really have a chance to win, and so it enabled him to just let it rip. And it sounds like you're talking about the same kind of thing, where you're just, which there's a lesson there, right? Where if we can get out of our own way. I've interviewed a lot of people for winning the audition through Hitz Academy, where it's not just operating a bass trombone as well as Matt does, and I am not in any way minimizing. Matt is a monster musician and a monster technician, and he's
just a monster.
And he's a monstrous person. You play in time all the time. You play in tune you check all the boxes. But winning an audition is not just that. There are more people who can do that than who win auditions. And hearing Nathaniel talk about it, hear you talk, there's a lot of commonalities, and that's the cool thing, is because we can learn. If you're a young tuba player, you can learn from a trombone player. You can learn from a cellist talking about winning an audition. They're not going to talk about their air, but it's all the same thing. And so, did you ever get frustrated when in the middle of those 20 or 25 auditions? I mean, you were talking about how it was a good way to check yourself, and that you'd practice differently, and you had a gig, which is great. But was it the whole time just kind of like professional development and let's see how this goes, or was there an ebb and flow emotionally to it over the years?
Well, yeah, it was kind of twofold. I mean, going back to the nerve thing, I knew I had issues with nerves, and especially like if I advanced, then I started to invest myself into the outcome. Up to that point, it was just like, oh, can I advance? Oh, I'm doing great. Oh, crap, I advanced. Now it's serious. Now I got to really, now they're really listening, So it would it was good training for me as far as managing those nerves. And I like you say, I mean, I feel like I could sit down and play with anybody and have a good time, in whatever situation, whatever section, I feel like that to me is always comfortable and easy. But that audition situation, or when you're exposed by yourself, that's where the real test was. So I would use those auditions to kind of test that to see if I'd ever be able to overcome it. Which, now that I've been out away from the band a little bit, it actually got a little bit better, just because, like I said, all the different stressors, it's, when you have so many different things going on at the same time, you kind of lose track how much that drains you, overall.
Right.
So I've been, like I say, I just feel like I'm younger now.
You're not.
Which is good. Oh, no, I am. I'm definitely.
Hey, Lance, you want to talk about Houchin Horns before we jump over to the Navy band, and also to see if we can finally mediate this beef between Matt and Matt Neff?
Oh, that's a good point. I didn't think about that. Well, I'm glad you brought it up because I forgot to tell you that they have a 15-day money-back guarantee with free shipping on all new instruments and accessories with multiple easy financing options on all inventory, but terms and conditions do apply. Houchin Horns aims to spread the joy of music through providing the highest level of product, services, and resources to the brass playing community. They have mouthpieces by Greg Black, Lasky Pickett, Schilke, and more. You can browse vintage and consignment instruments at houchinhorns.com. They have free equipment consultations in person and virtually available with their team of professional musicians. Schedule yours at houchinhorns.com. You can watch over 200 unique videos on Houchin Horns' YouTube channel.
Good stuff, though.
YouTube.com/Houchin Horns. And let's see, anything else I should tell you?
If you go to their website, it will make you feel younger, even though you're not.
That's true.
Oh.
They have free domestic shipping on all new instruments, excluding sheet music, and free domestic returns on new instruments and mouthpieces when you order online at houchinhorns.com. But if you enter the promo code Junkies at online checkout, you'll receive 10% off your purchase from houchinhorns.com. Some limitations apply.
Just like
Very
Matt
special
Neff.
thanks to Houchin Horns.
Junkies.
Junkies.
Oh, okay, good.
Junkies. Rosenkavalier.
Let's talk about Matt's limitations.
Rosenkalavier.
Let's start
Rosenkalavier.
Let's start with emotional limitations first. He's always seems very distant. I think it's a defense mechanism. All right, Lance, you go next.
So you got to the Navy band. What month in 92?
So I did boot camp in July and got to the band in September.
Okay, so you were a full year after me. I got into the Air Force band in the middle of 91. So I kept remembering. I know we ran into each other a few times, but I wouldn't say we like hung at any point. And we have tons of mutual colleagues who have burned lots of brain cells in lots of different ways between us. But so,
yeah,
what that gig was. I mean, I was in the concert band, which was a very different sort of gig. How would you like? What was the day-to-day of playing with the Commodores?
So I was in the concert band first. So I was.
I missed that.
I was in the concert band from 92 to 2009.
So it's
not very long.
Only 17 years.
Not long.
So yeah, and so in the Navy, it's you do ceremonies and concert band. We rotate back and forth. So I mean, one week you're playing funerals in Arlington Cemetery, doing the arrivals at the Pentagon or White House or whatever, retirements and stuff. And then the next week you'd be playing on stage where we do the summer series, we do lots of outdoor concerts, and through the school year, we're playing concerts a lot of times at schools, some of the civic auditoriums in the area, and of course we go on national tour, and that was usually about a month every spring.
It seemed to me that one of the things I was envious of. I'm going to be careful how I say this. Why would I be careful? Who gives a crap anymore?
Yes.
One of the things that I was envious of was that if you hated the boss, well, the boss was going to be gone, because the way the commanders cycled through, there was just like you were going to have them for a finite period of time, and then they were going to be on down the road. The downside is if you really dug them, same rules apply. It's like that's a bummer, but that was definitely a grass is greener situation that I experienced.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it wasn't like they would definitely settle in for a while, and some leaders we had longer than others. But yeah, I had multiple leaders, whereas I know the Air Force only had 3, 4 in my career. The same time frame. But yeah.
I hope our producer Will takes that Lance sigh and makes it like super loud.
17 seconds long. I find myself making that sound more and more and more every day. Like it's the old man just getting in and out of a chair thing, and then that sigh.
I'd say a third of the time that I pick my tuba up from it being on its bell, I make some sort of a, it's like a soft sound, but it's like a sound. And every once in a while at a lesson, some kids kind of look at me like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, just
winded."
I was born in the 70s. That's all. Yeah, I'm just winded. I'm spent.
Lance started that off with that hint of hesitation, that hint of paranoia.
Yeah.
And I was actually glad to hear that, because
yeah.
I was curious when it goes away, and apparently it doesn't go away for a while.
No, there's always some part. It hasn't happened in a long time. But I'll actually probably in the last 6 months, I've had a nightmare where I don't have the right something. I'm on my way to a gig. I'm about to go on stage, and I don't have the right uniform part, or it's just like that stuff.
And how many years has it been since you were in the Air Force Band, Lance?
I got out in '98.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't think Matt quite knew how long it had been. 23
Holy
years.
Cow.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Well, I was there in a very. I don't remember. I don't know how much you knew about what was going on. I was 91 to 98, but the nodding is an indicator that it was a very traumatic time to be there, and dramatic time to be there, and in some ways hilarious time to be there. It afforded me multiple opportunities to say completely inappropriate things in meetings, and
it's weird.
Got good at signing your name.
I got really good at signing my name. I didn't get in that much trouble, because I think I was funny enough that it was like,
it's just Lance.
He's just doing that thing. In the last 6 months, there was like if a light bulb went out, they blamed it on me. And I was like, that's cool. I'm good. I remember going to the office one day. I don't know what I had to do, sign something, but not like that kind of thing. And somebody was just getting to the Air Force Band, and they were like, "Oh, this is Staff Sergeant whatever. They play clarinet." And I was like, and they go, "What was your name?" I go, "You don't have to worry about it. Don't worry about it. In fact, we probably should end this conversation right now."
You don't have to worry about it.
Oh man, yeah. I guess just that I could. Well,
I don't know if that's a couch behind you, but if you want to lean back and talk some more about it, Matt and I can start charging a few $100 an hour here and split it.
Never heal if you keep picking at it.
So, what made you want to move from the concert band to the Commodores?
Well, there's multiple things. One of the reasons.
What are the Commodores? Actually, I bet some people don't know.
Oh yeah. Sorry. So the Commodores is the Navy's jazz band, and all the services have like a premier jazz band. The Army kind of has two, because they have the Army Blues and the Jazz Ambassadors up out of Fort Meade. Of course, Airmen a Note for the Air Force, and then the Commodores belong to the Navy. And so when I first picked bass trombone, one of the recordings that I came across was a guy named Ashley Alexander,
Oh yeah.
And
He was a killing euphonium player too.
yes, he was. And so his bass trombonist was a guy named Lee Goss. And Lee was his entire career, he did 30 years as bass trombone in the Commodores. And they called him Rookie. And he was there like in the 70s, back when big bands were like tear your face off. And he was quite possibly the loudest bass trombone player to ever play on the planet ever. Like back when lead trumpet players would just tear your face off, he would put you against the wall. I mean, just with that sound. So I had known about the Commodores as probably like early as like my beginning years of at Penn State in college. And so I always liked them, and I had the chance to sub with them a few times over the years. But it's actually a lot more political how I ended up there. So in 2007, I used to always set up tours my early years. I'd worked being a tour manager in the band. I had set up tours for the concert band, country band, and the jazz band over the years. And so they had an assistant position for the top guy. Like we had a staff guy, the guy who does all the bookings for all the groups, the national tour director for the Navy, had an assistant position, and I applied and got that. And I'd only been in the job for a couple, maybe probably about a month. And he calls me in the office, and I thought I was in trouble because, actually, Lance, you'll like this one. So I was a bit of a smart ass myself. And so one of the first things I did when I got in tour ops was the concert band was going out on tour. And so I took all the file photos of people in the concert band going out on tour, and I made a little cartoon book of them. And I had, printed it all out. So I had like the tuba euphonium quartet in a toilet, and just like, so I of course slid this into all the official paperwork that they're going out on tour. And then they had pictures. And believe it or not every musician has the same sense of humor as the low brass section.
It's weird.
Believe it.
No idea.
Strange.
So this conversation with the boss, with the national tour director, was about 2 days after that. And I thought, oh, I'm just getting in trouble. And he's like, no, you're the second person I'm telling. I have cancer, and I'm going to be out of the office for a while. I know you're new, but here's the keys. Good luck. I'll try to help you if I can, but I don't know if or when I'll be back. And if anything breaks, just blame me. And then that was it. That was my training for the job. And so I was kind of just thrust into it. I was going into the office, 5 o'clock in the morning, just to get a couple of hours in, trying to set up all the tour stuff, and then leaving at 8 o'clock to go play funerals all day at Arlington. Coming back, it was pretty crazy. It just about did me in. But after about a year of that, I kind of finally came up with a working system that I was able to get through it, and it worked out okay. And Bob survived cancer. He came back a couple of months later, but by that point, I was kind of running everything. The Navy had instituted a whole new database, something that, he had always fought it off because it was new and it was so clinky and quirky. He was an old Master Chief, and an E9, and he was just like, we're not doing that, because he knew it wasn't going to work, at least for the first year or two. So he had enough clout that he could say, we're not doing that. So about 2 weeks after he was out of the building, this is what you're going to do. And I was like, oh, crap. So that was another thing I had to figure out and learn. So anyways, fast forward a little bit. Bob's close to his, retirement time. And they put out even before that, I was playing on a Christmas gig with a friend from the band. And up to that point, I was also running the brass quintet. Brass quintet had an audition, and kind of to be a smartass, I had signed up to play bass trombone instead of tuba, because it was all tuba players that had signed the list to audition for the brass quintet, and they actually liked me. So the Navy Band Brass Quintet had bass trombone for a long time, and I think I did that for 5 or 6 years, and I ended up actually running the group because I like booking gigs, and I'd get us out, doing little kiddie tours and stuff like that. So they kind of threw it at me and let me do it. It was a blast, and I like playing in the chamber stuff. So this Christmas gig comes along, and I'm talking to one of the guys that I knew, and I'm like, Bob's getting pretty close to retiring. I could kind of get the sense they're going to need somebody to do that job. It was a non-playing position. I'm like, if I get stuck in that job, will they let me continue in the brass quintet? And it wasn't like they said no or anything, but it was the hesitation of like, oh, let me think. And I was like, oh shit, if you have to think about it, then what are the uppers going to, I mean, for them, it's less of a decision. They're just like, we need to do this. So Bob put his papers in to retire. They put the announcement out for the next national tour director, and no one else applied. Like, I think everybody's assumed that I'd do it. It made the most sense. I was already running everything. And I didn't apply. And at the same time, I auditioned. There was a tight window that I could audition for the Commodores. Back in that time frame, early 90s, there were some hiring freezes and things. Right. So they were only able first to offer the position to someone already in the Navy. So fleet musician or somebody in DC or Academy. And I think there were 2 other fleet musicians that sent in tapes, but I was the only one that they listened to live. And I had about a 2-hour audition, just crazy. It was about an hour with the big band, another 45 minutes with just the trombone section and rhythm section. And then I played a couple combo tunes with just me and the rhythm section. So ended up getting the job. They brought me in. And so this is all coinciding the same time as the national tour director. And I finally went in and sat down with the XO, the number 2 guy of the band. And he's like, now, this national tour position, this is a really big job, and you already know it, and we really need you to do this job. I'm like, I know. And
that's the Matt Neff I know right there.
Yeah, and
not this like real cerebral, like, I have this one specific flaw in taking auditions, so I need to go seek help from a guru. It's like, no, this is the Matt I know.
So we sat there, and he's like, we really need you to do this job. And I'm like, I just joined the Commodores. I'm only playing, this is at the 17, 18 year mark now. And I'm like, I need to play. I joined the Navy band to play, and I really want to keep playing. If you make me do that job, I can get out at 20 and I'll just go back to school, get my doctorate, and teach at a college or something. I don't know. I'm like, but I don't want to quit playing. And then we just sat, and I was actually, for the first time in my life, a little smart, and I was silent. I said nothing, and it worked in my favor. And he's like, okay, what's your plan? And there was never a question or not whether I do the job. It was just how I do it. And I had already pre-thought everything out and typed it up. We had a plan to kind of put some different assistants into place, had a bunch of people from the different groups booking their own tours, and it just kind of streamlined that. So I had a little bit of help, because of course, when I'd be out on the road with the Commodores on tour, I'd still had to be able to book everything for the concert band or whoever else. So it was a juggling match, but it worked out in the end, and I kind of wore 2 hats. And,
we should maybe in the bonus episode we should, because how those bands book is different than just if you're just like going to try and book a gig. There's some differences there that I think might be interesting to cover in the bonus episode.
Yeah, I definitely learned a lot.
I like the fact that he just said juggling match, as if there's like 2 jugglers in a boxing ring, like, juggling at each other, and there's a scoreboard and there's a ref.
Yeah.
So how much jazz experience did you have before that gig, before that audition, rather?
I would play like wedding. There was a fun little wedding band I would play in. I did it with Tom Gibson for many years.
Oh boy.
Exactly. And we didn't get fired. Well, actually we did get fired every once in a while.
What's the opposite of name dropping? because that's what he's doing now.
I know. Exactly. But I just know you guys know Gibby. But
Very well.
yeah. So anyways, I mean, I would do stuff like that. And I played, of course, a big band in college. Our big band in college was in a unique situation because the lead trombone player and the lead trumpet player from the Commodores had just got out. These guys were like in the Navy in the 70s, you know, and they had their GI Bill, and they didn't know what they're going to do next. And so they're like, oh, we'll go back to college. So yeah, to have those two guys in the band. This guy, actually, that's a plug. Howard Lamb, he's a trombonist in Memphis and still runs a big band every Sunday night, pretty much, right there on Beale Street, and they play. It's awesome. Wow. And yeah, he was quite the education. Like, yeah, those guys were old school, and so I felt like at least I had my, I don't know, my feet a little wet on what to do. But of course, not until you're actually doing it pretty regularly does it really kind of become second nature. But
I loved playing with you in the American Festival Pops Orchestra because, you know, that book, I mean, it was a Pops Orchestra, it's right in the name, but you know, there was some more classical based stuff, you know, like John Williams or that, but then there was also, you know, like Brian Kidd, you know, the great arranger who arranged like some real like big band type stuff, and you could swap, you know, effortlessly. I think there's a lot of bass trombone players who are used to tuba players who can't do that, and tuba players who are used to bass trombonists who can't do that. It's fun when you can get a section. Matt Neff, another one who can just like, you know, classical or you know, jazz, whatever. Like it's anything that he plays, you're the same way. It sounds like you're in your home base, which is a very high compliment. So, have I ever complimented you before, Matt? I've known you a long time. I'm not sure if I've ever complimented you.
I don't. Where's the other hand?
I mean, we're gonna edit this part out, but but you know, yeah,
of course.
That's how we see. That's how I'm gonna see whether you actually listen to it or not. Is if you notice that the nice part was removed.
It's gone. Yeah.
So we are just about out of time here. What is left for you? I mean, I know you just got tenure in the North Carolina Symphony, so it's not like you're not in the twilight here. But what is left for you to accomplish? Like, is there anybody in particular that you would like to play with, or any genres you want to tackle, or like what are your hopes and dreams, Matt Neff? I totally won't make fun of them, whatever you tell me.
I mean, a lot of times people, what's your favorite gig? You've done all these different things, and I always say my favorite gig is my next gig. You know, I love the variety. I like to do different things. Sometimes I'll joke and tell people my next gig is I want to do like one of those European professional polka bands that does all cover tunes. You know? Yeah, man. You know, but
that'd be fun as hell.
I like getting around. I love music, but I love musicians more. You know, they're a lot of fun, especially the low brass. We have more fun than anybody should. You know, and it's supposed to be that way.
Yeah.
So.
Notice how he totally didn't answer that question.
That old guy question, because you know you were in the Navy band forever, but you retire from they throw you out of the Navy band, and you're still like early 50s or something. They're like, "Wow, are you gonna keep playing? Like, do you still have all your teeth? How are you? Like, are you on Social Security now? What are you going to do?"
What was it like performing for FDR?
That's right.
Exactly. Oh my gosh.
I was gonna ask if you miss me, but we'll save that for the bonus episode, just to give you a chance to, you know, to be really honest about it. You know, nothing like a little paywall to get you. It's like liquid courage. It's like the paywall courage. It's like, wait, there's only a few hundred people are going to listen to this. Okay, yeah, I'll give you the real deal. Lance, is there anything else that we want to ask?
No.
What is it, Master Colonel Neff? Did I get that right?
It's like Halo. I'm Master Chief. Just like the guy on Halo.
I thought it was weird that he made me call him Master Chief on our civilian gigs. It was a little off-putting at first.
What? But oh my goodness! Wow.
Anyway, Lance, what was your rank when you
I was a technical sergeant. I came into the Air Force Band as a technical sergeant, and I left the Air Force Band as a technical sergeant.
I never would have guessed that, Lance LaDuke. Mm-hmm. Was that because of how fast you can play Pineapple Paul?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. You go from technical sergeant to Danny Boy sergeant to high note sergeant.
Which, right? Don't you just hold down the fourth valve and then go like for Pineapple Paul? Mm-hmm. You can do all the fingers, right? Isn't there a trick? You hold down
for sure
four and then just.
And then I've been in master classes where I've encouraged students to say, I don't feel like the tone is as even. I'm like, you're going like. Okay, cool, man. You have more free time than I do.
You are going to be judged on enthusiasm and being in time. That's it. Right. That's like, you always have to play in tune. Well, in tune with what? We can't tell what pitches you're playing or what anybody's playing.
Like, the 73rd note that you played was just a tiny bit sharp.
It's like 12 cents.
Okay, fine.
12 cents sharp. Yes. There you are. Well, yep. Life Shortcuts by Lance LaDuke. I just don't really like how it sounds on the 73rd note. Matt, this is awesome. We will. This was
Master Chief. Thank you for your time.
Look at he has like a physical reaction every time that we call him that. That's harsh. That's kind of awesome. Oh, we didn't get to the beef with Matt Neff. We'll
yeah, a lot to cover.
Whatever happened between the two of you, anyways?
Well, I just keep reminding people I'm the much taller, much more handsome Matt. Yeah.
You should get that on a shirt.
Now the show note is throwing Matt Neff under the bus. That's pretty good. The much taller and much more handsome Matt.
Actually, one of my very first gigs I got in DC was a call that was probably to Matt Neff. It was. I show up with a bass trombone.
Could have been Matt Vaughn. You don't know.
It was a circus, and it was like nothing was in the staff. I mean, everything was screaming high. I'm like, oh, this ain't right. I mean, I'd never seen ledger lines that high.
You got the wrong Matt.
Like, oh, yeah.
So you think my wife and I were once going out for dinner in Paris, and we made a reservation at a restaurant, and then we showed up, and turns out there were two restaurants right next to each other, and we accidentally went in the wrong one. And the one that we went in was quite good, but when we said that we had a reservation, it was obvious that had happened plenty from people who don't know what's going on. And the guy was like, "Oh, absolutely, right this way," And so then it wasn't until after we left I was like, "Oh, actually, they're wondering where we were 2 hours ago." So that's what you did with Matt Neff. I like it. How many other gigs did you steal from him? He deserved every single one of them, Matt.
He's a good man.
Oh, did we have fun in that orchestra? My goodness. Luckily, there would frequently be like a couple of people, at least one. Like I mean, if it's Perkel in between us, that didn't really help all that much. But it was at least. But imagine if Neff was right next to us in that gig. I think we would have been fired. Yeah, I think that we would have been fired. Oh man, I texted Horner like an hour ago saying that we were interviewing you, and if you had done anything extra stupid lately that we could bust you on. And he wrote, "Ha, not really." I like that. He didn't say no. He said, "Not really." He has been doing tenure, so has been making exclusively great choices. I like that. So not really, and then he says that you've been making
great choices.
But he attaches a completely self-serving motive to your recent run of good judgment. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. There we go. And that's how the Matt Neff Seth Horner beef started in real life. All right, Matt, this has been wonderful. We're going to have Matt hang out for the bonus episode where we're going to somehow get a little less serious, I'm guessing. Lance, did you get the question book? Well, we'll talk about it. Anyway, we're actually going to ask you like a couple of it's a very cool book. What's the name of the book, Lance?
It is the Book of Questions.
I could
Oh.
have remembered that. No,
Greg Gregory's stock.
they're very, very thought-provoking. So it's good stuff. So anyway, Matt, this has been awesome. Thank you for waking up at 5 a.m. for us. So we really
Thank you for having me.
we really, really appreciate it. And
The
that
best thing I've done today.
if you want to hear the bonus episode,
It's the second best thing I've done today.
if you want to hear the bonus episode, I don't know why you would after that comment. You can go to patreon.com/thebrassjunkies. And Matt, you're a treasure. You're just you're the wind beneath my wings, to quote Bette Midler. And that is going to do it for another episode of The Brass Junkies. You've been listening to The Brass Junkies on the Pedal Note Media Podcast Network. If you would like to hear the bonus episode featuring today's guest, please visit patreon.com/thebrassjunkies to learn how you can support the show and instantly access all bonus materials, as well as gain access to a special patron-only Facebook group. The Brass Junkies is produced by the amazing, wonderful, and truly inspirational Will Houchin. The theme music was composed by Fernando Dados and performed by Andrew Hitz and Lance LaDuke. We are at Pray for Jens on Twitter and Instagram and have a Facebook page at facebook.com/prayforjens. You can find out more about the Brass Junkies and all the other Pedal Note Media podcasts at pedalnotemedia.com. This has been a presentation of the Pedal Note Media Podcast Network.